Sean, we're going live. You good?
Oh, we're live. Right. We are live. Hey, everyone. Greetings. It is Naomi Wolf and Brian O'Shea, or Brian O'Shea and Naomi Wolf, here within the Lair, which is a Substack live show. And we promised you that we would be talking about two subjects.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about this New York election.
You got something on your face. It's kind of distracting me. There we go.
Oh, that's really romantic. Thank you.
It's hot. What are you talking about?
I want to talk about the election, and then I want to hear from you about the money flow to the Democratic Socialists of America and the other.
Oh, it's more than that. I'm going to lay out the whole revolution now.
Well, baby, why don't we start with you then?
No, we could start with you. You start talking, and I will kill your notifications.
Okay, thank you, sweetheart. I'm waiting for you to say the thing you always say when you solve a technological problem for me.
Takes a man.
Exactly.
That's true. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. It's true. I mean, they're useful, needlepoint and such, but
men,
women.
As I have often said, it wouldn't be as funny if I weren't a well-known feminist. But
that's what makes it funny.
That's what makes it funny.
Let's get rolling.
All right, I'm sorry. That was escapist humor because we don't want to face the hellscape that we're in. Oh, thank you. I've never known how to turn off notifications.
Well, like I said.
All right, baby. Let's talk about current events. Can we?
Yeah, please.
Stop playing with my computer.
No, just you're on. You're live. Just roll. I'm shutting this off so it doesn't keep pinging through the whole thing.
Okay, but we're actually live.
Yeah, but it doesn't affect that. It does not affect that.
Okay. This is what I want to tell you guys.
Just look at the green light.
Baby, come on. I'm laughing outside, but I'm crying inside, everybody, because obviously, as you know, if you follow us, we spend a lot of our time in Brooklyn and in in an area that's quite hard hit economically in a lot of ways. It's not an affluent area, so we sort of see firsthand the effect of bad policies and a bad democratic bureaucracy on the working people and the poor people and everybody, the environment, the infrastructure in this community. And I've also been, I'm not born in New York. I was a California girl born in San Francisco, but I've lived in New York for my whole adult life, or around New York when I wasn't in DC. And I love this city. And, it's bad enough that it was tortured and tormented don't worry about me. I'm just taking notes. Okay. It was tortured and tormented in the lockdowns and the pandemic era. Sweetheart, you're outside of the frame. But, and that nearly killed the city. It killed the vitality. It killed thousands and thousands of small businesses. Any number of small landlords had to sell their, properties that they had scrimped and saved. In many cases, the first time there was generational wealth, something to pass on to their kids. They were forced by an insane, unconstitutional mandate by the CDC, upheld by Andrew Cuomo, to sell those properties at a fire sale price because they couldn't get rid of the tenants for 6 months and they couldn't afford to hang on to them. BlackRock and Vanguard, of course, swooped in and bought them up. And New York barely recovered. And even now, when you walk around New York, I feel like it's much changed. Even though it's kind of back, it's hideously overbuilt. During the lockdowns, I feel like a lot of the zoning got suspended and, developers just moved in and turned it into Houston. Prayer X10, our good friends, has California also. I'm sure that's true. I've seen this all over America. Seattle, oh my gosh, horrific. And we'll get to why Brian O'Shea thinks that protests and riots in blue cities are part of a real estate play. But in addition to the kind of annihilation of the fabric, the architectural fabric of the city, you really also get a feeling of this. I am not a racist. I'm an anti-racist, but like who moved in, because you really get a feeling, especially during the Biden era, of millions of people, or at least hundreds of thousands of people dumped, by globalist interests, from Afghanistan, Yemen, Sudan, Somalia, all over Central America, the worst failed states in Central America, Haiti, a failed state, like people who have never known, an advanced Western democracy. This is not a racist thing to say. It's just descriptive of different societies, dumped here by globalist policies. We know about them by the UN and by the State Department, and reporting that I did and other people did. And they didn't have any connection to New York. And, you saw this, I'm getting to the mayoral race.
Go ahead. Okay. You're cooking this chicken. I'm just picking up feathers.
It made you feel like no one was really a New Yorker, or that New Yorkers who loved, understood New York, carried that American ideal, which has always been so welcoming to legal immigrants, right? Like my dad and my grandparents, who are legal immigrants. That was there was no investment in that anymore. Like there was no shared culture of that anymore. The city fragmented into kind of fiefdoms by ethnicity and by national origin. So you'd have used to be the Puerto Rico Day Parade was a celebration of Puerto Rican Americans. But then all of these kind of ethnically and national origin parades began to just be about the countries of origin. And you began to see voting instructions in, Arabic and Chinese and not in English, right? And you started to see kind of town hall meetings, not announced to the community. I mean, this is all part of the same package of lack of transparency.
There's also it's impossible to find, especially in poor neighborhoods. We're in like Naomi said, kind of a getting better neighborhood, but because I hate the word gentrifying.
Mm-hmm. But getting better is worse.
It's not worse. Everyone wants better. Only psychopaths want worse.
Anyway, let's have that argument.
But what I was going to say is I have this app that kind of maps where I walk, so for the steps and all that. And yes, I don't care if someone's tracking me because they're tracking us anyways. But I've been doing 8 grids out in each direction. I can't find a newspaper.
Wow. Not even in different languages, no newspaper, no newsstands. There used to be newsstands on every corner.
Yeah, the only newspaper I found was the Epoch Times, but they only the only one available is the Chinese version. I love the Epoch Times. And then the only other papers I found were the Black Democratic Voice, the Democrat Voice.
Right.
Yeah. Whatever else. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you get a very skewed view of the world. And then I began to notice here in our neighborhood posters for ethnically oriented, very un-American, right? And I don't believe these are organic, Black diaspora, let's have a meeting. And it showed very racist cartoons aimed at white capitalists, crushing the Black diaspora. I mean, racism is a real thing, obviously, but this is not an American way to solve a problem. It's a Marxist way to solve a problem, right? It's not what W.B. Du Bois or, Martin Luther King were advocating for, this horrible sectarianism and separateness. And I'm feeling more and more racial hostility in the city. I never used to feel that ever.
Are you really?
Yeah, I am.
Where I'm getting more hostility from?
Where?
Actually, I get along with everyone.
Well, honey, I'd like to get along with everyone too, but I just mean I never used to feel when I got on the subway a kind of fuck you white woman kind of.
Could be a gender thing based on the cultures. Sorry, but it's true.
Oh, you may be right.
Yeah. Western Africa and everything like that.
Okay.
That's where my grandfather's from, so I can say it.
You can say it because that's where my grandfather's from.
But also what I find is more hostility from the, what they're calling it the graduate workers class.
Hostility from the graduate workers class. What does that mean?
Okay, so that is every soy boy, soy girl out there who graduated with their gender studies master's degree and can't get a job.
Okay.
Of course, they're not looking for jobs, but They call that the graduate worker class. I get more nasty looks from those people.
Because they assume you're a Trumper. Because you're
why,
honey. Because how you look, everyone assumes you're a Trumper.
Well, I'm America first.
Right. Well, that's why they're hostile. But that's what I'm trying to say. We used to like be able to disagree with each other in New York or come from like very diverse points of view, get on the subway, walk down the street, sit in a cafe without this like, I hate you for your label. And I'm going somewhere like with this. So we had an election on Tuesday. And as you know, we were helping Athena Clark professionally. Daily Clout signed on to do her social media, and she is this amazing young special ed teacher from Brooklyn who was mandated out. She was laid off, lost her retirement, lost her benefits, like all the first responders who didn't get the vaccine in New York, or many of them, police, firefighters, teachers, and she ran for city council. And I was at the watch party on Tuesday night, as this election, in which, if you haven't been following it, if you've been under a rock, and I've been trying to warn the world, if you read my Substack for months, this is a train heading down the track aimed at all of us. Zohran Mamdani's run. I knew that he was going to be anointed through nefarious means, because all the legacy media was getting on board. The media with ties to the CCP were getting on board. There was so much wrong, millions of dollars. I could tell as a former political consultant, millions of dollars were being pumped into his campaign, but it was not grassroots. It was, a guy from out of the blue who, among the things that drive me crazy about Zohran Mamdani, he was raised in New York, educated in New York for free at one of our best public high schools, went to an American college. It took him, I don't blame him for not becoming an American citizen when he was a minor, but then after he became an adult, honey, it took him 11 adult years before he became a US citizen. And that's probably because there's a 12-year window.
Right before he took that council seat in New York, he became a citizen.
Exactly. 1 year before.
How convenient.
Oh. Yeah. And then he didn't even become a US citizen, sweetheart. He became a dual citizen, dual Ugandan.
Yeah, that should be illegal.
That should totally be illegal. So there he is. And then he ran for city council in Queens. He's had like no job experience. Prior to that, he was a bad rapper. He was a rapper.
As I understand it, he had 3 girls that he managed.
Oh, really?
That's what I heard.
What does that mean? He was a pimp?
No. Like he had like his mom lent him some interns to help with his production career.
Oh God.
That is just like running the biggest city in America.
Yeah. 3 girls. Yeah, no, he has a painful rap video in which he's, honey, so many of his public appearances have bad hygiene involved. Like he was in a food truck making like shawarma in this video with no shirt on, and
right.
With his armpits all out. Another campaign.
Yeah. And he's Indian. I don't know why he's making shawarma, but
honey, that's fine. Don't be like that.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying. There's
Indian people can like shawarma.
Yeah, but there's really good Indian food.
Let's stay.
All right.
Okay.
What I'm saying, no, there's a point that I said that for.
Okay.
Is because that early on shows you that his audience was always
global.
Muslims.
Oh, Muslims.
Yes.
Because he's Indian. Well, his mom's Indian. His dad's Muslim.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. He doesn't look Indian to me, but.
Baby, that is so racist.
No, he doesn't. Look, I speak Arabic. I spent years in the Middle East. Okay?
You're saying he's not. His mother is a famous Hindu Indian filmmaker, Mira Nair, honey.
Rock Hudson was a famous guy too, who was having a secret affair with a man outside of his husband and wife marriage. So
wait, are you saying Mira Nair is not his mother, or are you saying she's
I'm just
not
saying,
Hindu?
look,
this is like I know we are called conspiracy theorists.
This is based on nothing.
This is not legit.
This is based on nothing.
You
but,
always say bring me evidence. That's bad conjecture.
I'm just saying.
Reject it.
I'm just saying. I'm throwing it out there as a worthy assignment.
You can't. What is he really? What, his mother's son?
He doesn't look like either of his parents.
Oh, please.
Look at them. He doesn't look like either one of them.
What does not look like either of them?
Different hair tones, different skin tones, different facial structures. I mean, to me, he looks like someone from like the Gulf region. That's what he looks like to me. And when you spend a lot of time in a country and you spend 2.5 years of your life immersed in the language, which I did when I was with Defense Language Institute, when you first meet a culture, you're like,
Right.
I don't know the difference between one country or the other. But
Right.
once you spend a lot of time there,
Yeah.
you can tell the difference between like a Levant Arab and
Right.
a Northern African Arab and a Gulf state Arab.
You're saying, okay, well, this is
I'm saying he doesn't look Indian to me.
But honey, he's only half Indian. His mom's Indian. His dad's, I'm not sure what his dad's origin is.
His dad was in Uganda.
Right, but he's not Ugandan.
Right, because he was stationed there or he was assigned there.
Right.
Isn't his dad Indian?
I'd have to check. His dad is Muslim, though.
Mahmoud. Yes.
Right. Okay. Let me make sure that I get the substantive stuff out before we have a fun
So that's the assignment, everyone.
What? Find out if...
Yeah. Hey, look.
Is Zohran Mamdani his parents' child? Are you serious?
Hey, we had to do with Kamala Harris, so there was a whole investigation on that.
That's true.
Too.
That's true. All right. Well, that's dark and questionable. But honey, that can't be right. He grew up. New York is a small town. He went to, I think, the Bronx High School of Science. Like he went to.
Let me tell you a story.
Okay.
Really quickly.
Yes.
So when I was in the Army, there was a guy named Private Barney. Yes, that was his real name.
Okay.
Barney was a good all-American kid. And it's a really sad story because Barney, and this for 5 years, and everyone knew Barney because he, was the driver for the commander and everything.
Yeah.
Really sweet guy. And this was in 1st Special Forces. And Barney's story is really tragic because his parents had died both in a tragic accident when he was a little toddler.
Oh my God.
And he was taken in by an old farming couple.
Right.
And then he learned how to farm and really kind of gritty kind of guy, good guy. And then that was Barney's story. So then when we were deployed, apparently Barney's foster parents, these old people, they died. They both, one was already dead and then the father died. And Barney, everyone felt for Barney. The commander even bought with company funds a 1st-class ticket to get him home.
That's really sweet.
He also had to deal with a $5 to $10 million piece of property that he had to meet with lawyers and everything.
Okay.
So then everyone's kind of kissing his butt because everyone's like, hey man, remember the guy that helped you? Anyways, so 6 months goes on and then I go back, we redeploy, I go back to Fort Lewis in Washington. And Barney's not there anymore. You see, because Barney lied about the entire biography. Someone got a little suspicious and said, you know what? I'm going to do a little research. They called and talked to his actual mom and dad.
Oh my God.
In the suburbs in Ohio. He'd never been on a farm.
Oh my God.
There was no farm. He tricked everyone.
What was all that about? Why did he do it?
I think he liked the attention.
Holy cow.
And think about like how he got really good positions and everything. So just because it's a small town.
Right.
And a small neighborhood.
Right.
Don't verify everything. That's
okay, I agree that we should verify everything, and you're kind of creeping me out now.
I said this months ago.
Yeah, you did say that he looked like a Gulf Arab, but that could, we don't all look like our parents.
Well,
you don't look anything like some of your brothers and sisters.
Well, that's under investigation too. Just kidding. Love
you
you, Mom.
didn't even know you were partly African until you had a DNA test.
Well, there you go. My mom lied to me. She said we're Hispanic.
Don't say on camera.
She did.
Sweetie, let's respect.
And her last name was Santos, so I figured, okay, why I didn't question it. And then when a real genomist actually ran the test, there's not a lick of Spanish in me, but there's a 25% African. So, you can't, don't believe anything,
Even about oneself. Well, honey, you're bringing up a good point. My whole life thought I was Ashkenazi, and I'm not Ashkenazi.
What?
I didn't tell you that.
I know.
No, I thought my family, like most, people my immediate ancestors came from Russia and Romania. So I thought I was Russian and Romanian, but in fact, genetically, we're not Ashkenazi at all. We're not European at all. I'm Southwestern Asian, so more like Afghanistan and Lebanon. So Sephardic, so more like Arab than like, or Afghani than like Polish or Russian. What?
Do you work for Mom?
So let me, honey, this
ahead.
is super fun, but I really promised everyone that I would share the critical stuff about this campaign. So many things, to recap, were wrong with the Mamdani campaign. I named some of them, but others were the money flow. And Sam Antar, who was the CFO of Crazy Eddie, which was a big electronics chain, he was a criminal and he got busted for dealing with their finances in a criminal way. And he became a whistleblower for law enforcement. And now he's like a forensic whistleblower.
Does forensic accounting.
Right. And he's awesome. And so he traced the money flow to these NGOs, and they in turn elect illegally candidates. And then in turn, the candidates, when they're in office, send the NGOs millions of dollars. And it's a giant money laundering scheme. And Soros and Tides, Soros through the Tides Foundation, they're like the spigot for this giant circle of billions of dollars circulating, especially in New York City. So during the examination of Mamdani's campaign finances, not only was there $13,000 in foreign money that wasn't accounted for, and that story kind of vanished, even though that's a very big deal in, campaign finance law, but also it turned out that CARE, which is
it's the Council for Arab Islamic Relations,
which is like the premier lobbying and advocacy organization for Muslims in America. They were funding him, massively, and that millions of dollars came from outside of New York City. So he was like a puppet candidate, and also his platform didn't really make sense, because if you know New York politics, or just American politics, New Yorkers are not clamoring to legalize sex work. We don't want human trafficking and prostitution, on our streets. And that was like at the top of his agenda. New Yorkers are not clamoring to spend $65 million on sex change surgeries for minors, which the Democratic Socialists of America, his party, were advocating for. Israel is not at the top of the list of what New Yorker, we may agree or disagree about policy with Israel, but it's not, if you poll New Yorkers, it's like the economy, safety and crime, housing, schools, they're not going to say, I want more trans access, and I want, more prostitutes, and I want to really worry about Israel and Palestine. That's fringe issues for New Yorkers, but that was his campaign. And let me just say one more thing. This is all leading up to why I am suspicious of this election. I don't think it's real. I'm just going to say that. I don't think it's real. I've been called a conspiracy theorist for 5 years, ever since I first began saying things weren't real, i.e. the pandemic, narrative. And I've had like a 97% accurate rate of saying when something's not real.
97%?
Yeah. So except interpersonally.
Okay. You know that 99% of all statistics are made up on the spot.
Baby, let me get to the point.
Just go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I think about the Workers' Party. I'm sorry, Working Families Party. They're the communists, basically, in New York. They've been on the ballot forever. They're always on the ballot, and they run candidates, right? And they're never taken seriously. They never get major media. Brian's holding up a Working Families
That's just
poster.
like, I take a walk every morning. I take a picture of everything that's on the telephone poles, mailboxes, and everything. So
my point is they never get even 1% of the vote in New York. So suddenly everyone wants communism, as opposed to never wanting communism in New York. Suddenly the Working Families Party goes from 1% to 50% of the vote. That's number one. That is bull BS. I'm going to say it nicely for our conservatives in our audience. That is nonsense. No party goes historically from 1% of the vote or less to 50% of the vote in one election cycle. That does not happen. The other thing is, we were at a watch party, as I mentioned, I think at the outset of this, and at about 8:00, and we were watching city council races because our candidate was a city council race. obviously watching the mayoral race too. This was Fox 5. And at about 8 o'clock, until 8 o'clock, that's Loki, we saw that a lot of the city council races were about neck and neck. Is that what you would say? Or,
Yeah.
like 60-40.
Leading up to it, sure.
Yeah. Definitely up in the air. And that was when about 30% of the vote was counted. Actually, a friend asked me what percent of the vote was counted when there was a switch. And then right before, it would have been over 50% of the vote counted, meaning a real thing, right? Everything switched, or at least everything we could see on the screen switched. And that was about 8 o'clock, an hour before the polls closed. So all of a sudden, I was like, there are many city council races, like multiple dozens.
Yep.
And it was like 85%, 85%, 85%, 85%, Democrat, city council race. And then, that just is weird. And then they, the media started calling the election for Mamdani like 2 hours before, the polls closed, which is also, unethical. I don't know if it's illegal, but it's the effect, it's definitely unethical because the effect is to keep people from voting. If they were going to vote for Sliwa or Cuomo, they just don't bother because they hear on the news, oh, it's been called for Mamdani. There's no point. I might as well stay home. So that suppressed the vote or that damaged the vote. But mostly it's the machines. And I've written this essay about a year and a half ago about doing a deep dive into the electronic voting machines, which were rolled out in 2005. I was an advisor to Vice President Al Gore's presidential campaign in 2000 when there was, the big drama about the paper ballots that was used, I think, to usher in the rationale for voting machines. And I will tell you, my developer walked me right through how the electronic machines work. I run a tech company. We do not know who's won elections in America since 2005 because there is no way to verify what happens in an electronic voting machine. Let me explain it in a little more granular detail, and then Brian is reminding me that I should pause and thank our sponsors, but let me get to the meat of it, and then I will. You can change the results in a voting machine by giving the login and password. Oh, that's interesting. The login and password to anyone. But you're right. He does look like an Arab. You're right. I'm just going to say. You can literally give the login and password to someone in China, someone in Russia, someone in, Ukraine, and they can log in and change the results. And I run developers, I work with developers. I'm not a coder, I'm not a developer, but we create digital products based on government data. It's the same field. And that's literally correct. When I need someone to change something in a database of government data, which is what we provide at Daily Cloud, I call up our developer and I say, Jason, change this. And then he logs in and changes it, right? He logs in and changes it. He can change anything. He can change how the results are displayed. He can change, how the results, he can create a user interface that will take a bill that we don't do this, of course, but it's totally possible. If a bill says it's pro-choice, he can create a user interface that links to it that says it's pro-life, right? He can change how things, but mostly he can change the algorithm, right? If you're searching for vaccine bills, he can easily tell the search functionality to show you the pro-vaccine versus the anti-vaccine bills and give you a completely false impression of what happened. And then he can tell the algorithm, count how many vaccine bills there are and leave out the anti-vaccine bills, and you will not get an accurate number of the total. So that can be done with votes in any machine at any time, in any way. And people are wrong if they think, oh, it has to be hooked up to the internet. It doesn't have to be hooked up to the internet. Probably is. That's not the point. The developer can go in and change it. And the developer, he or she, can change the code itself. So in New York State, you're not allowed to see there's a tape, apparently. These machines sound pretty weird, that records the data. Now, according to government law in America, we own the government records. They belong to us by law. So do not tell me that we cannot see the code, which is what they're saying about the Dominion machines. And do not tell me, Board of Elections, to which I'm going tomorrow at 10 a.m., that I can't see the tape. Give me the effing tape. Give me the tape. I will, call some technologists who understand what the tape is. We will sit down and look at the tape. We'll extract the data. It belongs to us. You cannot stop us. So bottom line, we've been propagandized for 20 years almost that you're a weirdo if you ask to verify the vote. You're not a weirdo. It's your minimum job as a citizen. So 2 clicks in, I found out I have a right to request an audit. Not only that, I found out that I have a right to make them hand count 3% of the vote, the Board of Elections in New York. And if there's any discrepancy between the tally with the hand count and the electronic tally, they have to do an investigation and a full audit. They have to. It's the law. And here it is. I'm going to show you the law. You guys, baby, I know how to do this.
All right.
I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to share the screen in a minute. Okay, I should have let you
just click that.
Click this.
No.
You do it, baby.
There we go.
All right. Oh no, it's asking me for my password. I don't know all of this.
Okay, we'll put it in the chat.
Exactly. Point is, there is a law that says that we are allowed to ask, not only allowed, that it provides for us here, darling, it's Chrome, to be in a position of demanding a hand count of 3%. So I called the Board of Elections. Thank you all for your patience. And the Board of Elections executive phone number is disconnected. They're not taking calls. I think you just hung up, baby. Let's stay. Let's not even try to show them. It's too risky. I'll put it in the chat. I'll tell you what it is. It's New York State Section 16106, proceedings as to the casting and canvass of ballots. And you can find this at nysenate.gov/legislation/laws/ELN/16016.
And that is a chapter, it's chapter 17, article 16.
That's right.
Just so people know.
And it's very clear, and it's in plain English. You can read it for yourself. It's not arcane. You don't need a lawyer. You don't need to be the candidate. You don't need to be the head of a, political organization. It is your right. They have to do it. So I called the Board of Elections. They didn't answer. I called the Manhattan sub office. They answered. I said, I want to start the process of the 3% hand count. They knew what I was talking about. The guy said, I'll get you to the 3% office.
Oh my gosh.
Can you believe it? And then I said, great. And then he gave me the number that was disconnected.
Well, that's
he thought I would give up. They're effing with the wrong check.
Get some.
That's right. So finally, I, got through various other numbers, got to a message machine. I left a message saying, I'm Naomi Wolf. I'm a journalist. I have 2 million followers a month on all my platforms. Call me back about starting the 3% audit by noon today, or I will appear at the Board of Elections Executive Office tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Friday, the 7th, everybody. And we will begin the process of initiating the audit tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And I'm asking you to call the Board of Elections. Meet me there, New York, meet me there. I would like a bodyguard because you might not be there, and I fear.
We'll call the firefighters.
That's right. And let's all meet there and just show them that, we don't have to show them because I alone have the right to start it, but it's good and newsworthy to show up en masse. It's our Board of Elections. It's paid for with our tax dollars. And you want to go to, you talk while I look up the Board of Elections.
Yeah, we could put it in the description as well.
Yeah,
definitely.
But go to your
and then Naomi will tweet it out later. So
here, baby, I'm so sorry. Okay. I found it. Oh, they're so evil. Can I just say how evil they are? Okay. And then sponsors, I promise. This is such BS. This is vote.nyc. they pretend that this technology tracks your ballot. This doesn't track your ballot. Nothing tracks your ballot. You don't even need ID in New York State. You can saunter in, name an address, and they will let you vote. And there are people saying, I went, or my husband went to vote in New York City, and someone else had already voted using our address. They would not allow us to vote. There are so many anomalies. I've experienced this myself. I walk up and say, here's my ID. They're like, no, you don't need the ID.
Yeah, that's true.
They laugh, right?
I reported it illegally.
Yeah, thank you, baby.
Well, it's not illegal.
So the other thing
I'm putting in so I didn't vote in this one because I can't. I can't vote in New York City for these locals. So I'm going to put my name in here and see if they tell me I cast a vote.
Oh, that's fantastic. So basically meet me at the Board of Elections executive office. It's on Broadway. I'll give you the exact information before the end of this broadcast tomorrow at 10 a.m. And the other thing I want you to do is call them, and we will get their number before the end of this broadcast to let them know that you also are initiating the 3% count and a full audit. And then email me at naomi@dailycloud.io so that we know that it really happened. They can't pretend no one is calling. This is, maybe Mamdani won fair and square, which no communist has done for 100. I don't think any communist has ever won. I mean, there was a well-known socialist early in the century as a presidential candidate, but he didn't win.
Well, Obama won.
Yeah, but he didn't say
they
weren't socialists when they won, baby. They weren't. I worked around them. They weren't. I didn't know they were socialists. Okay. All right. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. It smells so fishy, and we're going to get to the bottom of it. But also, really, what I want you to take away is this is not extra. This is not extra, you guys. This is not you being weird. Looking up election law. Anyone watching this all over the United States, it's very easy. Look up your local election law. It's not too difficult to understand it. If you're having trouble understanding it, send me an email. We'll get on the phone and help you understand it. We've got lawyers, but you usually don't even need a lawyer. You just need to be used to the language. And find out your election law, because actually the laws are pretty good in America. It's just they want you not to know the law. There are even fake websites saying voters can't initiate an audit, but they can. They can.
.us,
and Daisy M says, this is really good. I'm excited. So you go look, and don't let anyone shame you. They're going to make you feel weird if you show up with your neighbors. You're not weird. You're listening to the founders, Madison, Jefferson, Washington, all the lady founders that they erased from history, Abigail Adams. You're listening to them because we don't even know if we have a country if we can't verify the vote.
One thing about New York, learn from the homeless people. No one messes with them because they're really loud when they get on things. So if you go down there and people are giving you the old stink eye and, trying to make you feel weird, just get really loud and make a lot of noise legally.
Legally. Okay. My zip code. This one here. Look it up, baby.
I can't.
Okay. 11226. Oh, yes. So in Fulton County, Georgia, says Carolyn Stein McLaughlin, an organization called Voter GA has had a case in the courts to do a hand count of the 2020 election. Ridiculous. Dominion machines are criminal. Well, double check if you need a court order to do a hand count. And by the way, like long-term solution, everyone look at our election integrity bill, our draft bill on Daily Clout. They passed it in Wyoming. Democrats blocked it in Maine. But we need to pass these election integrity bills in every state, because it's ridiculous that we're asking, for a judge or a court order to verify our own vote. Those are not even constitutional restrictions because the votes belong to us. All right, baby, I hear you. I'm going to do what you're asking me to do.
We need to have a longer show.
We need to have a longer show. We can go on. They're listening. Do you want to move easily and independently without paying?
Well, I do move easily and
Yes,
independently without paying. You know why?
Why?
I bet you're going to tell us why.
I'm going to tell you why. Yeah. Or stiffness. Do you want to look in the mirror and see a plump, hydrated glow?
I
Not
say
more.
Plump.
No, I know. I always giggle
plump.
when I say plump. See a hydrated glow and not more fine lines and wrinkles, darling.
This is kind of one of those weird moments where, of course. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I'll say that I want to see a hydrated glow and not more fine lines and wrinkles. Discover native path collagen, types 1 and 3 collagen fibers. These are the two most important fibers. More important types of collagen, and they make up 90% of the collagen in your body. They're found in your cartilage, bone, skin, nails, hair, and gut. And type 1 and 3 offer top level benefits. It's a single ingredient in their collagen, no fillers, no additives, and no sweeteners, no artificial sweeteners. And it's third-party tested. So there are no heavy metals, pure and safe, no clumping. You could just dissolve it in coffee like Brian and I do. You can put it in your smoothie. Put it in water. It's really easy to take. No taste at all. I really am grateful to Native Path for their collagen because, as you know, because I complain about it a lot, I have had mobility issues because of spina bifida occulta. And rather than having gigantic, scary surgery without a necessarily positive outcome for someone who's already like messed up, I, went hard on the Native Path and other things, which I cover in my show, like herbal supplements that are anti-inflammatory. And now I'm leaping around. I mean, we've been walking like miles every day.
Yeah, but I mean, I've been taking it for a while. What I notice is when I don't take it is when I notice.
Yeah,
it.
No, I notice that too.
Yeah.
I feel old when I don't take it.
I feel, and we had I forgot the doctor's name, but he used to work with you on the Pfizer papers.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to be
Dr. Chandler.
Yeah. And he worked for the LA Rams. He did a lot of sports medicine. And I'll never forget when I had him on Investigate Everything, my show. I said, hey, trying to segue into the Native Path thing. I said, hey, is collagen important? And he said, duh. And he said, is mortar important for a house?
Wow.
And I said, that makes a lot of sense. He said, of course it is. And your body stops producing it naturally at 28.
I did not know that. Wow, that is really, no wonder. So people are like predisposed to get arthritis and joint issues unless they supplement. Oh.
Yeah, that's why vegan's not a good idea.
So, that's interesting. What the founder of Native Path said is that we don't, even the meat we eat, even if we eat meat, it's not the way modern meat is in the supermarket or at butchers. It's not the meat that our ancestors ate because we're not like gnawing it, the tendons and the cartilage and the bones.
Well,
you do.
Yeah.
Yes, baby. No, but very often we'll have steak and not like a giant haunch of something, right? If we're modern people, you have a giant haunch, but both of us have giant haunches now to eat, not personally, because we are persuaded by this collagen thing.
Okay, why don't you just land this? Why don't you just land this plane? It's, just get it on the ground safely, please.
Point is, we are big believers in Native Path, and you can go to getnativepath.com/daily cloud, and you can get like up to 45% off. And there's also a community there that will answer your questions, help you out, if anything confuses you, and you get a 365-day money-back guarantee. So it's a fabulous product. I'm going to be 64 in a week, next Thursday, and I'm not even worried about it because I don't feel old. And
I'm not making the face because you're going to be 64. I just was thinking, wow, it's next week.
It's next week,
baby.
Of
course I didn't forget.
You didn't forget. You've got it all under control. Yeah. You're looking very concerned.
Oh, no. I just want to.
No, and you two can marry a man 12 years younger. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, it's wonderful.
I've got many brothers.
Yeah, you've got to make them available.
Ladies.
Those O'Shea men, they're a benefit to the ladies of the world.
They're America's nightmare.
Or wonderful dream. So let's talk about gold before we go back to
let's do gold at the end.
Okay, that's fine.
Because if I was listening, as great as Native Path is and our gold company, we have both. I back to back.
Yeah, you're right.
Because I want to talk.
Go talk, baby. Do it.
So the Mamdani thing, right? So we all know, obviously, he's a socialist and everything like that. Well, instead of it's interesting when you listen, when you're on social media, and I was really mad yesterday and in a bad mood, and was listening to really angry heavy metal on my walks. But then I was like, okay, wait, why does this sound familiar? Why does everything he's saying sound familiar? So first point I want to make, to your point, the trans thing, it doesn't matter. It
What do you mean
doesn't. It's a distraction.
Huh.
That's just to get everyone looking over there.
Oh.
Him throwing, throwing it across, throwing a shot across President Trump's bow the night before last on his acceptance speech when he's like, "And President Trump, I know you're listening. Turn the volume up." It's like, dude, look, New York's a great big city, but you're a city mayor. Okay.
I mean, to be fair, Trump's people are probably watching. It's a big
of course
deal.
they're watching, but
Yeah.
I don't think, I think Mamdani is going to learn the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have an FAFO moment because, as we've seen, Gavin Newsom can barely stand up to him, and this kid's got no experience. But those are all distractions. Okay, and we all focus on that, and even the immigration thing is a bit of a distraction, but I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
So, are you listening?
Yeah, baby, I'm always listening. I always listen.
We'll grab the comments at the end.
Okay.
So, check this out. What are his? So I spent many hours looking at interviews, street interviews with people, and basically the major comments were like they'd say things like, "Well, I didn't want to vote for Cuomo because he's a sex offender," and even those sex offender things are important, but distractions in an election.
Yeah.
But the major thing you hear is "freeze the rent."
Yeah.
It's actually a slogan. And the other slogan, I took pictures of on the street just now, it's on every telephone pole, is "just freeze, baby." Have you seen those stickers?
No.
That's "freeze the rent."
Okay.
Okay. So the majority of the voters that they interviewed on the street, the number one thing was rent control.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. It's rent control for rent-stabilized apartments.
Right.
That's the program.
Right.
So they're already getting an incredible deal.
Yeah, but it's so unaffordable to live in New York.
Well,
And
here's
a lot of housing is rent stabilized, so that's not crazy that
But
people
you
want
know
not to
why
go out.
it's rent stabilized?
Why?
Because it's an asset. See, here's the way rent stabilization works. It's been rent stabilized since the 40s in New York City.
That's true.
But the way with rent stabilized apartments, you can will them to your kids.
Okay.
So the same rent stabilized apartment
stays
in the family. Okay, so
what's wrong with that? I mean, that is
that's great if you're in one.
Yeah,
No, here's the problem. So we'll get to that in a second. But the other thing he's pushing for is the free buses, right? Free buses.
Fast free buses.
Yep. The other thing he was pushing for is fast free buses. The grocery stores, the kind of city-run grocery stores.
Yeah.
People are even chanting rent rollback.
Interesting.
And then and then they even talk about rent stabilization, food, free buses, free childcare, and basically, everyone's going to have an equal footing. That sounds great. Like it does. If I was living in Smurf Village where there's little frogs with hats and unicorns, that's great. But human nature never will allow for a society where everyone gets along and because everything's equal. And Karl Marx, who, as you all know, wrote the Communist Manifesto with Frederick Engels, he actually believed that in the manifesto, he actually says something along the lines of, well, hey, once we get rid of class, you get rid of class struggle.
Baby, I'm totally listening, but the way we do my show, we do have the comments.
We will.
Not at the end.
Hey, you know what?
What, baby?
I'm in charge now.
God.
I'm seizing the means of production.
You can seize the means of production, everyone. It's now a Marxist show. Go ahead, darling. I'm the former bourgeoisie, and you're the proletariat.
I just backed myself in a corner with that one, so she wins. So, anyways, so it all sounded familiar. Buses, so transportation, rent,
right,
which equals property. Okay, food.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what do you have when you have city-controlled grocery stores? Those are communes.
Yeah.
Basically, we already have them in Salem, Massachusetts. We've seen them.
Yeah.
We can't shop there.
No, crazy.
So listen to this.
You should explain what that means. We can't shop because we're not on public assistance. They literally, it's beautiful produce, beautiful meat, beautiful dairy. We live in a food desert. A lot of Salem is a food desert. But because we're like employed and not on public assistance, we weren't even allowed to walk in the door, which is so un-American, right? It's like fine, food stamps, fine, whatever, but to not let people, because they've been not unsuccessful,
I did get in one time though.
What happened?
Oh no, I actually bought something.
Oh wow.
But you know what I did?
What did you do?
I spoke in Arabic and I created a heavy accent. I did.
That's horrible, honey. What did you get?
I got an apple. I only had like $2 on me.
Did they ask for proof of your,
no, because I looked angry and sad when they asked.
Oh, God.
That's all you got to do. So anyways, getting to the point, what is Mamdani's campaign?
Okay.
What is it? So you talked earlier about all the immigrants, okay, illegal or otherwise.
Yeah.
Well, this is crazy. Matt Walsh put out a tweet the other day, and he's with the Daily Wire, where he showed the stats, and apparently 48% of people living in New York City were born in New York City. The other 52% are immigrants, illegal or otherwise.
But that's a normal pattern for New York. I mean, it's a haven for immigrants. Okay, I'm listening.
It's just like that time at the poetry club. I didn't interrupt you.
Go ahead.
I didn't interrupt you.
Go ahead.
So 52. So Mamdani basically won 52% of the vote, and between Sliwa and Cuomo, it equals just about 48.
Right.
So basically, most New Yorkers voted for.
Yeah,
Sliwa
there was actually a
Cuomo.
breakdown that said if you've been here longer than 10 years, you voted.
Americans voted for the American city mayor,
or longer standing Americans. People have been here longer. And
you could see like who in the speech. You guys have to watch the acceptance speech because that's a different Mamdani. Okay.
I've watch that. I can see that.
So here's where I'm getting. Okay, I'm just going to cut to the chase. I'll do more of this on my show. Tell me if this sounds familiar to you. Okay. This is from the Communist Manifesto. I pulled this morning. We have seen this from Karl Marx, 1860, I think. We have seen above that the first step in a revolution by the working class is to raise the proletariat to the position of ruling class to win the battle of democracy.
Oh.
We saw that in the last 4 years. Like they became like citizens with extra rights. They rose them up,
and that's
brought
what's
them in, rose them up.
Too, two-tier society.
The proletariat will use its political supremacy, gets better, to wrest by degree all capital from the bourgeoisie.
Oh my gosh.
To centralize all instruments of productions in the hands of the state, i.e. of the proletariat, organized as the ruling class. It's funny, they talk about eliminating class while they're talking about establishing themselves as the ruling class. I wrote a great essay on that. And to increase the total productive forces as rapidly as possible. Of course, in the beginning, this cannot be affected by means of despotic inroads on the rights of property and on the conditions of bourgeoisie production, by means of measures, therefore, which appear economically insufficient. Let me cut to the end. But which, in the course of unavoidable as a means of entirely revolutionizing the mode of production. These measures will, of course, be different in different countries. Here we go. This is Mamdani's. This is the stuff he ran on. Listen, from the Communist Manifesto. Nevertheless, in most advanced countries, the following will be pretty generally acceptable. 1, abolition of property in land and application of all rents of public land to public purposes.
Oh my gosh.
2, a heavy progressive or graduated income tax.
On the rich.
3, abolition of all rights of inheritance. 4, confiscation of, listen to this.
This is also some Clinton stuff. I mean, it wasn't the I don't know if it was Clinton, but there was that attack on like being able to leave your money to people. They called it the death tax. 5, centralization of credit. Oh wait, I forgot this one. Confiscation of the property of all immigrants and rebels. There it is.
Centralization.
Those are the truckers.
Those are everyone. This is us.
It's you and me, baby.
Centralization. There's a few more. Centralization of credit in the hands of the state by means of a national bank with state capital and an exclusive monopoly, digital currency.
And can I just say, like Bank of the World Bank,
Yep. Well, there's 4 banks of China right in Manhattan.
Oh my God.
Here we go. Here's a campaign promise. Ready?
Mhm.
6, centralization of the means of communication and transport in the hands of the state.
Oh my God.
7, extension of factories and instruments of production owned by the state.
So much of this has happened.
This is their playbook.
Oh my
They
God.
use the
But
communist.
I didn't realize so much has happened.
They
Even,
use
like
the
Amtrak is
okay,
centralized. It used to be all
the
private.
Communist Manifesto is the manual.
No, I get it. But what I'm trying to say is in countries that we didn't even think were communist, chunks of this have come about, like
Totally.
in the United States.
Totally. Extension of factories and instruments of production owned by the state, the bringing into cultivation of wastelands, and the improvement of the soil generally in accordance with a common plan. This is One Health.
That's One Health.
This is One Health, seizing of land based so you don't have a pandemic spillover.
Right. Oh my God.
Equal liability of all to work, establishment of industrial armies, especially for agriculture. And finally,
oh my God, honey, all the immigrants being housed in barracks in Britain.
Yeah, well, what do you think is happening here? So the promise,
they bring in the immigrants.
They bring people who are used to working and not getting much anyways. So like when people say, "Oh, let them experience Marxism, they'll change their minds." Well, most of the 52% of the population of New York is from places where it kind of sucks anyways.
Right.
So you got to be really bad as a Marxist to make it worse for them. And finally, combination of agriculture with manufacturing industries, gradual abolition of all the distinction between town and country by a more equitable distribution of the population.
But
Smart
that's not
cities.
What they're doing. They're herding everyone into the cities.
That's right, because they're seizing the land outside of the cities. Keep in mind, Marxists are liars. And keep in mind, Karl Marx never worked a day in his life. He never even went to a factory by the time he wrote the Communist Manifesto. If you read the Communist Manifesto, you got to reread every page like twice because he's an idiot. But the thing is, people buy it because he's relentless and he just throws it out there. And that's what Marxists do. Just like Mamdani saying
very good at
free buses. Yeah. And I got to give hats off to Tim Pool, because Tim Pool said, if I was running as a Marxist, paraphrasing, he said, I would double down on him. I'd say, free buses. I'm going to give you buses that fly. Free healthcare, free childcare. I'll beat your campaign. When you show up at childcare with your baby, we're going to give you a free baby. They promise everything, they deliver nothing. Now, here's the play, though, and this is where it lands. Mamdani is not really a communist. Communists are not really communists. What happens is they don't care about the class struggle. Okay, there is really, compared to other countries, not a lot of struggle except for the people that they don't really care about. Okay, the people on Lower Flatbush. But what it is, it's a real estate grab, and here's how it works.
Here we've got 2 minutes.
Maybe
we can go over.
We're going over. Well, you cut into the slice of my pie.
Go, baby. Let's go.
I wanted equal and equitable distribution of this podcast.
Let's go another 15
Well,
minutes.
I'm almost done. But what I'm saying is, when you take a deep dive on the rent stabilization. Okay, I want to point out that it's focused on rent stabilized real estate. Okay.
What's wrong with that?
So what happens? Not every apartment in a building is under rent stabilization.
That's true.
So you'll go into some buildings and it's a crappy rent stabilized apartment, because rent stabilized apartments, guess what? They don't get renovated because the landlord can't afford to. Okay. They're taped, they're Band-Aids here and there. But then you'll see these you've looked at them, these lush apartments in the same building. Okay. Well, to get the whole building, you need to get everyone out. Okay. So what you do is you rent stabilize all the apartments in the building.
And they're going to go to hell. It's a real estate play.
Well, what the landlords have been forced to do in a lot of these cases, they're called zombie apartments. So rather than rent them out, they keep them empty and they just go to disrepair, because it's more expensive to bring it up to code and standard and put a tenant in there. Because in some of these rent stabilized places in Crown Heights, it's $1,000 rent. Now, to put that in perspective for people, the average for like a 1-bedroom, maybe 650, 700 square foot apartment in Crown Heights, which is a nice area, is anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000 a month. And these landlords are stuck at 1,000 while the guy next door is renting it out for 4,000.
Right.
So they're like, screw it, I'll just keep it closed and I'll just sit on it till things get better.
Right.
Well, if you do that to everyone in the building, the tenants will leave or they'll get evicted.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now these guys are going to take whatever anyone gives them as a purchase price.
Right.
And then you seize the city block by block. Now,
but who's seizing it? The Chinese Communist Party or BlackRock and Vanguard?
Well, so who's seizing it is just private, so
private equity.
Well, eventually it's going to be the BlackRock, so George Soros, all that. And remember, George Soros, he doesn't care about like controlling anyone's lives or changing the way we live. He's a money man. Let's not forget, he made his money, his billions initially by manipulating currency markets because he had plants inside our own State Department. So if he wants something to take a dive, let's say in the Philippines, sure enough, there'll be a conflict in the Philippines. That's how he made his money.
Baby, I want you to keep talking, but let me post.
Wait.
Let me post the comments because people, we run a democratic thing here. Go ahead.
So that's the thing. So now here's the thing is the Muslims that they use, okay, and I'm not exonerating any radical Muslims or any radical whatsoever, but the Muslims are constantly used, especially in the One Belt, One Road by the Chinese, okay, constantly, radical Muslims are constantly used.
Say what One Belt, One Road is, honey.
That's the Chinese toxic financing scheme that's slowly colonizing the world. It basically gets countries indebted to China after their infrastructure mysteriously collapsed right after they've usually adopted green technology. So what happens, and they're indebted to China. Right now, 67% of the world is in the Belt and Road.
We're screwed.
All but I think Paraguay in South America is in the Belt and Road. Oh, one of the big champions in South America is Brazil. They are right in bed with China. Hence your voting machine comment.
Okay, I don't understand that. Yeah.
So basically, back to what I was saying. All right, so you get all this radicalism and everything like that. People might overreact or might not, but you create chaos in the city. That gets rid of the rest of the tenants that you can't rent stabilize. Oh, and that's already happening.
People are fleeing.
That's already happening.
Yeah.
And that's where, and so like the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America, they're aligned with CARE, the Council on Arab Islamic Relations. They're kind of, this is the Red Green Alliance, but this gets people out.
Right.
And then what happens? It happens every time. It happened with BLM and everything. Once the people who are doing the real estate play or the grab, once they're done with them, those people get arrested.
Right.
Or they go bankrupt. I mean, we saw that in Portland.
Right.
As soon as President Trump was going to send in the more National Guard and everything, well, then they didn't want to mess up the elections. So then the local police started arresting Antifa after they'd let them go for like months. Right. Here's the final part of this.
Wait, excuse me. Is that why the head of Black Lives Matter finally got busted for,
of course,
corruption? And
she was embezzling for the whole time they existed.
Wow.
But
they let it keep going until they were done with her, and then it's like, here.
Because then what happened after she got busted?
I don't know.
Let's focus on BLM. She's the scapegoat. They always have a scapegoat. So you Marxists at the DSA, except for the ones, you guys are stupid because you're the ones that will go down. Trust me, when you get arrested at a riot,
history shows that.
No one's coming to bail you out.
That's right.
But the other thing is the same strategy was used by all the DSA candidates this cycle around, including Omar Fetta out there in, Michigan? Yeah. Or is it Minnesota? Minnesota. I looked on the DSA website. I highly encourage you to.
Democratic Socialists of America.
Yeah, who have nothing to do with the Democratic Party, by the way. They're not Democrats. They're socialists. Yeah. The final thing I'll say is just for the people that don't want to sell, that's okay because Mamdani and the DSA especially, they already thought about that. So just last night, 6 blocks up, DSA for the Brooklyn branch, they were doing what's called a tenant canvassing, where they had a bunch of people meet and they went and harassed the hell out of this landlord that owns a few buildings. And they're doing that all throughout the month. That was the day after the election. That was organized weeks ago. So if you don't sell, they're going to scare you out. This is a city takeover. And How do you stop it? People might ask.
Yeah.
Expose it, counter protest, and run for office. And honestly, like, what I like to do is, especially for my investigate everything crowd, find every dirty secret you can on the lowest member of any DSA or anything, and blast it all over the internet. Seriously, so because you just have to take them off one piece at a time.
Peacefully. Okay.
However you deem is appropriate for your life, you will handle your matters.
So I'm the law-abiding one. Brian's the outlaw.
I'm not an outlaw.
Kind of an outlaw.
No. Like I always say, she'll ask me, she's like, is that legal? I'm like, well, it's not illegal. It's just not really, there's no case law.
Right. That's a good way to approach things. Well, you said run for office, and I thoroughly support that. But in order to take back our country and our city, we need clean elections. So we'll wrap up where we began, and then we'll tell people about American alternative assets. Okay. And so I want you all to join me if you're anywhere near New York, or get on a train because it's worth it if you can, or drive, although it's hard to park in Midtown. Meet me tomorrow at 10 a.m. at the New York Board of Elections executive office, the place that has no answering machine and no one manning the phone, the executive office of New York's Board of Election, the day or two after election day, there's no one answering the phone. Not that it's busy, they'll get back to you, it's disconnected. All right. So we have to show up in person, 32-42 Broadway. So it's way downtown, 7th floor, New York, 10004. I'm going to give you the number, but it won't work. Just to demonstrate to the world that the number has been disconnected, 212-487-5400. A number that will work is a sub office down on Varick Street. Don't go to that one. Let's go to the executive office.
Can you give the address again?
Sure,
so type it in.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It is 32-42 Broadway, 7th floor.
Broadway, and that's Broadway in Manhattan?
In Manhattan, yep.
Okay, because there's another one. Broadway. And what was the rest of it?
7th floor.
7th floor.
New York.
Yeah. People aren't from, if they're not from New York, they might not know.
Okay, baby.
Oh, by the way, if you are coming down, just remember, do not, I know a lot of people carry like a pocket knife or anything, or like a Gerber. Don't bring that stuff because they get confiscated.
What's a Gerber?
Like the multiplier. And it's a funny story because I gave my wife, when we were dating, I gave her a knife, for self-protection. And then she had work to do that day. What's the zip code?
10004.
Okay. So I gave her this pocket knife, and look, I mean, most people just know like what you can and can't do, right? So she comes back and she is really angry. And I said, "What's wrong?" She goes, like, the New York authorities confiscated my knife. And I said, why'd they do that? She goes, I don't know. I'm going to look into it. She's like, and I'm not saying, she was the smartest woman I know. So I don't want to get off this and have you say that like I was making fun of you. But she says to me, she says, I don't know. So I had to go down to the courthouse and I was meeting with someone there or something. And I walk in and all of a sudden they're like, oh, you can't have that. And they took it. I said, the courthouse? Can't have it in the courthouse.
I don't have relatives in prison. I didn't know that. I'm sorry. I was being mean. Because you said I know all about this because I've...
No, I'm proud of them, actually. They're really successful.
Anyway,
they're the people Look, when you go to jail, they're the guys you're scared of.
I believe it, baby. No one messes with the O'Sheas. But, sweetheart, it's not like I can understand they would take my knife, right, while I'm going into the courthouse, but they should give it back. They didn't give it back. They confiscated it.
Yeah, that always happens. You never get confiscated items back. They always lose them.
They didn't know what I was talking about. It was a beautiful knife.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a shock. Brian O'Shea has brought me out of my privileged West Village bubble, and I facing the facts of life. You could have one of these. Fun.
You could have this one.
Oh, I like it.
Or you can have my no, you can't have my caveman knife.
But... Ooh, what's a caveman knife? Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
solid. Do you know people aren't even allowed to carry knives in Britain? let alone.
Oh no, yeah, and remember in Holland
they're not even allowed to carry pepper spray.
In Holland, they're not allowed to have a baseball bat.
Unbelievable! What has happened to Britain? Okay, baby, this is so much fun. I love you all.
Do you address all the comments?
I did address all the comments.
Let's just run right through them. Veronica, thanks for coming. Monotalk, thanks for coming. Wilson Law, both parents Zohran are Indians. Yep, that I believe. And then we have these. I can't read all of these, but we will get to them the next time. Oh, that's nice. And so thank you, Veronica, for popping in. Roscoe, haven't seen you in a while.
We love Roscoe.
Hi, Brian. Hi, Dr. Wolf. That's awesome. Thank you.
Baby, we don't do that. We don't go through every single comment that says hello. I mean, that's nice. Hello
you
back.
should,
I
right?
Should,
Doesn't
right?
everyone agree that we should do this every show?
I don't know.
You took the time. You took the time to be here.
All right, baby. What if there are hundreds of comments?
We're not going to go through all of them. I'm addressing every name. Okay. Carolyn Stein McLaughlin, Fulton County, Georgia, an organization called Voter Georgia.
We went over that.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. And then Vonda Grub, good to see you. You guys are the cutest couple.
Oh,
I always have fun watching it. Thank you.
Thank
Vonda, we appreciate that.
Appreciate all of you.
Election integrity in Maine. That's another thing we have to cover. I'm from Maine. It's a shame to see what's happened up there. And they
go into a state referendum.
Well,
isn't that what we tried to do? No, I guess we tried to pass it directly. I'll bring that up with our friend.
That's good.
Senator Heidi Sampson.
And then let me see. Fare evasion is so bad. Nobody pays for buses in NYC.
Which is so demoralizing. We spoke to Tremel Thompson, who's a former transit worker, now vice president of the transit union. And he was not speaking as a transit union official, but just as himself. And he said, it's so bad, that there's such lawlessness with people not paying fares on buses and just being generally lawless on buses, but that they advise the transit workers not to engage because of their safety. Like, what kind of situation?
Well, it's okay. Mamdani solved that. Now they're free.
No, not only are they free, he solved it because if you call 911 now, you'll get a mental health evaluation.
How are you feeling today?
Exactly.
Well, I got a guy with a knife to my throat.
Breaking in.
You sound angry. I can see how that's going to go. No, my house is getting broken into.
How can anyone think that's a good idea?
It's going to be like that, though. My house is getting broken into. Okay, I need you to calm down.
No, first you have to go through the question of what race you are and what gender.
Anyone who needs to call the authorities is going to be saying, I am whatever you want me to be.
Totally.
Let me see. So Tom Cullen, thanks for reposting. Appreciate it. And then Roscoe and Chapman. How the hell did New York elect him?
Well, we're going to find out.
52% of New Yorkers are from other countries.
Guys, we don't know because of the machines, right? We're going to find out tomorrow at the Board of Elections. We're going to look at the vote. We're going to look at the data. Who really voted?
Roscoe, no. I won't, because honestly, that's an ongoing investigation. I don't want to give my opinion on all these different theories out there, but honestly, I just don't have time. There's enough people looking at it. I'm keeping an eye on it. I'll just say I'm an Occam's razor guy. I'll look it up. I'll put it there. And then hi from New Zealand. Oh, cool. Hey, Graham Chicken. Hi from New Zealand. Good to see you, man. All right, so that's all the comments.
Okay, so you guys, in times like this, especially if your assets are going to be confiscated, there's going to be state-run digital currency, you really need to invest in gold and silver. There are a lot of questionable, scammy precious metals companies out there advertising, especially on independent media, as you have found. And one of them that is not scammy, but has been around a long time, has a good reputation, is American Alternative Assets, our sponsor. And so what if the next big crash is already in motion and almost no one sees it coming, let alone catastrophic Marxists taking over your city? Every major economic collapse since 1929 was preceded by the same 7 warning signs. And right now, all 7 are flashing red. I bet this script should add 8, the election of a Marxist to run your economy. These are not headlines. They are deep market indicators that Wall Street prefers you never hear about. That's why our friends at American Alternative Assets created the bellwether signal, which will identify these warning signs for you. And if you call American Alternative Assets, they will help you get started moving an IRA into gold or precious metals. And I
Okay.
gather silver is the thing to have in an apocalypse as well.
Yeah, silver
'cause
is
easier
good. That's
to
coming up.
transact with.
And where do they go for that?
Well, I'll tell you, you go to cloutgold.com, and you get started there, either finding out more or literally starting your account. Brian and I literally kick ourselves when we talk about gold because
we didn't buy enough.
We didn't buy it 5 years ago, and if we had, we would have doubled our investment.
Yeah, it's over 4,000 now. I think at the beginning of the pandemic, it was like down in the thousands.
We would have quadrupled our investment.
Yeah. And this is, I just want people to know, be careful out there. This is a good company. I've done the research on them. And what Naomi's referring to is we did have someone that tried to advertise with us that turned out to be totally fraudulent. So, we're very selective about our sponsors. We caught that early, and I look at everything because as Naomi's, our integrity matters. You may or may not believe or agree with what we say, but everything we say we have investigated, or whether it's right or wrong. That's right. And we don't accept sponsors whose stuff we don't use and benefit from, or whom we are not investing in ourselves. So yep, exactly. We wouldn't. All right, we got to go, baby. Yeah, don't you have did you come up with a closing tagline or anything? My closing tagline is please support us and subscribe to Daily Clout and donate at Daily Clout. There's a donate button right on dailyclout.io, and come over to Outspoken, my Substack, and subscribe there. We really need you to be a paying subscriber on Outspoken and on Daily Clout, or one or both, because especially now we're targets again. We weren't targets for about a year. That was nice while it lasted. Now we're targets again. And it's very expensive to bring you independent journalism without intimidation or conforming to the power structure. We have a team that helps us get this out there. We really need you to support Outspoken and Daily Clout, and go watch. Yeah, and make sure you watch Investigate Everything. If you go to dailyclout.io or go to Daily Clout's Rumble channel, you'll find it there. I do apologize. I'm trying to get it on a more even keel with scheduling, but I like to go out when I have an investigation ready. And do also check out at ConsumerDD on X, or consumerdiligence.org. That is one of the founders of that. And we're doing the due diligence for all the companies that you tell us to look at as much as we can. So darling, thank you. And at Brian O'Shea, SPI on X. And remember, this is our closing line. Yes. And investigate everything. Like my dad always said, always, it was never, always, never. Oh yeah, always, never. Always keep a bag in the truck and you throw your garbage right in there. Words of wisdom. All right, you guys, let's save New York. Let's save America. Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you, honey. Bye. Bye.